If you're looking for games to play with other people, there's plenty of them this year. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, the top 10 new co-op games of 2021. Starting off at number 10, it's World War Z Aftermath, which is an upgraded version of World War Z that includes the entire Game of the Year edition, as well as 3 new locations: Rome, Vatican City, and the Kamchatka Peninsula in Russia. If you're not aware, the base game is along the lines of Left 4 Dead, but it's set in the universe that was established in the World War Z movie. It also focuses on big, wide-open environments and the types of encounters that you might have there, which is a little bit different from what you see in Left 4 Dead, and ultimately a pretty good game. I wouldn't necessarily call it the best, but getting the best version of it, the Game of the Year version with all of the extra content there, with more content on top of that. Honestly, part of my complaint with the original game was that it maybe wasn't long enough. This version, you definitely get enough to do for the money. World War Z Aftermath is available for pre-order. They do not have a release date for it just yet, but it will be coming out this year. At number 9 is Aliens Fireteam Elite, which actually functions as a standalone sequel to the Alien trilogy of movies, set 23 years after the original film. This game looks very much like it takes a lot of inspiration from both Left 4 Dead and Gears of War. It's a very different type of game than Alien Isolation, but it does look like it has managed to use the same aesthetic sensibilities to capture what the film looked like. Essentially, you are a colonial marine, you're responding to a distress call. It's not the most original or intriguing story that you're ever going to hear, but everything we've seen about this makes it look like it's actually going to be a good game. To be frank, these types of level-based co-op shooters, whether they're leaning closer to Left 4 Dead or Gears of War, the story isn't the most important thing, and the fact that they've set it in the alien world gives the possibility for a lot of good world building, but if they nail the gameplay, it's a great universe to set one of these games in. Aliens Fireteam Elite comes to the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and Microsoft Windows on August 24th. At number 8 is the Ascent, which is somewhere between a Diablo action RPG and a twin-stick shooter along the lines of Enter the Gungeon, that kind of thing. Essentially, the way that the game takes place is you start at the lowest area of an arcology, a cyberpunk city, and you gradually move your way up. Essentially, the story is that a mega corporation called the Ascent Group is apparently collapsing, and you're doing whatever you can to take advantage of the situation. Things are not as they seem. This game's actually gotten a fair amount of play around the office here. It has some major quirks, but it's a game that a lot of love went into, has beautiful environments, and although there is some jank that could be fixed over time through patching and a little bit of work by the developers, it's also a game that really puts forward a fun version of what it's trying to do. I mean, a twin-stick action RPG that doesn't feel like it goes too far in either of those directions while maintaining a lot of the fun stuff from both. We enjoyed it a lot. It came out on July 29th for Microsoft Windows and the Xboxes. And again, there are some quirks, so it's not like a straight recommend, but I would recommend giving it a shot. It's one of those games where if you can get past some of the things, it's genuinely one of the best co-op games of the year. At number 7 is Samurai Warriors 5, kind of a reboot for the Warriors series. Obviously, Samurai Warriors isn't Dynasty Warriors, but at the same time, it's kind of the newest mainline version of the game. And we were all very happy to find out that they were going back on a lot of the decisions that were made for Samurai Warriors 9, which kind of made it into a bad open world single-player MMORPG-like experience, where the battles were still good, but they were also not what you were doing all the time, or even most of the time. Samurai Warriors 5 goes back to the good formula here. The game simplifies and streamlines some concepts and adds a new hyper attack, which gives you the ability to traverse a lot of land while attacking enemies. In terms of co-op, they don't have couch co-op. You gotta play it online, but it's certainly worth the time. It is a much better game than Dynasty Warriors 9. While it certainly doesn't carry the same kind of extremely large roster as previous titles, the gameplay is probably some of the best that they've offered in the entire Warriors series, and it's clear that they listened to the feedback from Dynasty Warriors 9. That's already out. It is on PC, Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. And number 6 is Valheim, a procedurally generated exploration and survival game that you can play with up to 10 other players. This is an incredibly pretty game that gives you all of the interesting survival options from crafting to building, and in truth at the stage it's at right now, which is early access, it is a robust offering at only $20. This is a game I've seen lots of groups of people say is great to play like with a group of friends or as a family, because you get to build a base, ultimately a village, and the way that everything plays out is quite good. It again is up to 10 players, so if you've got a circle of friends that's interested in it, it's not an expensive game, and as long as you're all connected to the internet, you can all play together pretty easily. It's also drop in, drop out. Like for me, it's probably one of the better survival offerings of the year. It works out in a really good way. Again, it's out in early access for PC right now. And number 5 is Monster Hunter Rise, which is the Nintendo Switch version of Monster Hunter, more or less. It builds on the various mechanics that were established in Monster Hunter World, but as the name implies, makes it a little bit more vertical in terms of playstyle. You can form a hunting party with up to 4 players. It's not couch co-op, but you can all play it on wireless LAN or just over straight online. If you have a few people with a few Nintendo Switches, it's really a fantastic take on Monster Hunter. It gives you a nice big world to explore, but like I said, it's designed with a little bit more verticality in mind. In order for the verticality to be more than just level design, they've also added the wire bug, which is kind of like the clutch claw they added in Monster Hunter World Iceborne. It's basically a grappling hook, and again, the way they've designed the world here, it works really well, and it's a lot of fun to have 4 people exploring and hunting monsters. The game's been out since March on the Nintendo Switch. It's very much worth the time and money. At number 4 is Far Cry 6, the latest in one of Ubisoft's largest franchises. Far Cry 6 is set on a fictional Caribbean island called Yara, where you will be taking part in guerrilla tactics against the dictator Anton Castillo. Ultimately, the idea of the game is to topple the regime, and it's certainly not Western propaganda against Cuba or anything like that. It does contain one of the most high-profile actors from Breaking Bad, the gentleman who plays Gus Fring as the dictator, and in interviews with him, he's taking a very interesting approach to it. They're not portraying him as just an evil dictator, but as somebody who actually does care about his country. Honestly, it looks like a really good take on Far Cry. You're going to be seeing makeshift weapons, vehicles. You're going to be hiring various people to take part in your guerrilla action. There's animal companions with a new system called Fangs for Hire. Far Cry 6 is coming to Windows, the PlayStations, the Xboxes, Amazon Luna, and Google Stadia on October 7th. At number 3 is Back 4 Blood, which is finally essentially a new Left 4 Dead game. It comes to us from the developers. Obviously, Valve owns Left 4 Dead. They've independently decided, you know what, we need to make another game like this, which is great because those are obviously the games that really popularized the co-op genre that they exist in. It's pretty exciting to see them actually just making a full-on new title. Even though it's not officially Left 4 Dead, it is the next Left 4 Dead game. They announced it back in 2019. Everybody's just been waiting for it. And although it's not Left 4 Dead 3, I don't really think I consider it something different. It's that. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a nice, much better looking version of the same gameplay we've loved for years and years. I can't personally wait for it. That's landing on the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and Microsoft Windows, October 12th. At number 2 is It Takes Two, an action-adventure platforming game that requires co-op. It is a 2-player game and not a 1-player game. You have to play this cooperative multiplayer because the gameplay mechanics require 2 people. You can play it through either online play or locally with another person, so it shouldn't be too hard to find somebody to play with, but it's really interesting. It is the story of a married couple that are planning on getting a divorce and through magic get trapped in a couple of dolls that are made to resemble them and have to work together to find a way back to their previous life. If that sounds similar but also extremely different from A Way Out, it's because it's from the director of that game and is a really interesting story to be told that incorporates all the mechanics into the story very, very well. This is a game that's been out for a few months. It is worth your time. It's out on the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and Microsoft Windows. And finally, Dying Light 2 Stay Human is the sequel to the original Dying Light. It retains the emphasis on parkour, in fact, enhances it, giving you tons more animations and intending to make it a lot more fluid. There's also a grappling hook and a paraglider, and more importantly, will feature 4-player cooperative multiplayer. Now, honestly, this is the type of game that actually does work really well in that way. It is a more exploration-oriented title, and the narrative is supposedly going to be branching in a very interesting way. This is one that's been a long time coming, so the hope is that they deliver on the promise of a quote-unquote narrative sandbox, and I think that it's going to be a really interesting experiment at very least. My hope is that it's even better than the first game. That's coming to the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and Microsoft Windows on December 7th. And a bonus game for you as well, Deathloop, but not necessarily because it's specifically a co-op game, it's actually PvP, but you can actually manipulate that to work in a way that invasion mechanic kind of works in Dark Souls. If you decide to take the second assassin and actually just help out the first, that functions as co-op, and it's actually pretty interesting because it's an unintended consequence of how the game works. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is of course a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable all notifications, and as always, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter @FalconTheHero. We'll see you next time right here on GameRanx.